Whose image is this, and whose inscription? Caesar's, they replied. And he said to them, so give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. And like many of the fundamental truths of life, it's simple. It's not complicated. It's not filled with extraneous detail. It is straightforward. It is clear. It is concise. Like many of the great truths of life, it's simple. It just isn't easy. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give to God what belongs to God. Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love. Take my heart, it is thine own. It shall be thy royal throne. Simple. Simple. Not easy, but it is simple. Lord, take my life, that it would be consecrated to your holy purposes, my moments, my days. The big things in life where it's very obvious that you are present either in your goodness or in your mercy as things are terrible and I reach out to you and I know that I'm answered. But let these moments and my days, the big stuff and the little stuff, the things that are amazing in their goodness or their badness, and then just kind of the day-to-day humdrum of life, let ceaseless praise flow out of my mouth in the ups and in the downs and in all of the in-betweens. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of your love. With the hands of Jesus that people can see and feel and touch them and bless them and heal them. Take my hands. Use my hands for your works of love. And take my heart, my very self on the inside, and sit upon it as my king. Within my heart there is a throne and it is yours. It's simple. It isn't easy. It's straightforward. It is concise. And it is clear. Give to Caesar what belongs to him. It is inscribed with his image. Points back to him. Comes from him. Give to God what belongs to God. Simple. Concise and clear. It just isn't necessarily easy, because if we work backwards, what does not come from God? Regardless of how many coins the listeners of Jesus had in their pocket, of whatever denomination, how they came about it through commerce or trade or discovery or theft or whatever, they could trace that backwards to the might of the Roman Empire and to Caesar himself, who had his image stamped on it, not just to remind everybody that he was the big boss and the big cheese, but for the Roman Empire, which was dominating the land, its emperor ruled by divine right, himself a god among men. So anytime you bought something, or you traded something, or you got something, you were reminded that you live under the rule, the authority, and the protection of Caesar, who is a god among us. Bum, bum, bum. And the people who are trying to trap Jesus, and yeah, I mean, I read it that way on purpose. Jesus. you are always right. You never pay attention. Tell us. They're trying to trick him either into saying, oh yes, it has the image of Caesar and never pay that tax, so he would be in trouble with Caesar and the Romans. Or Jesus would say, oh absolutely, don't get in trouble, pay your tax. And then they could point out, oh what a bad Jew he is. Because Caesar seems to think he's a god, and if you say that it's okay to participate in this, then that's okay to be idolatrous, and oh, we got Jesus now. And in just a simple, clear, concise phrase, Jesus turns it upside down for them. Jesus turns it upside down for his disciples. Jesus turns it upside down for any who hear, both in that time and even now, all of us. Give to Caesar what belongs to him. Give to God what belongs to God. Look on the coin. Whose image and inscription? Caesar? Fine. Give it to them. Who cares? Little stuff. Okay, it's peanuts. Small potatoes. Money comes, money goes. I'm not saying it is not worthwhile or important. It doesn't do good things, but in the grand scheme of things, it comes and it goes. You can't take it with you. Whose image and likeness is on that? Caesar? Fine. Send it back over. So give to God what belongs to him. What belongs to God. When in doubt, check the book. Open up. Here at first page. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So everything there is, seen and unseen, as we will affirm in a moment, comes from primarily, first, foremost, and always, the gracious hand of God. But then keep on going. Go a few more verses later. And, there's light, and there's darkness, and there's firmaments being separated, and then there is suns, and moons, and animals, and trees, and yada, 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 yada. Go all the way down to verse 27. And be reminded. So God creates man in his image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female alike. What bears the image and inscription of Caesar? Well, that denarius does, so give it back to him. It belongs to him. What bears the image and inscription of God Almighty? You do. So do I. So who does it belong to? It belongs to God. We belong to God. Simple. Concise, clear. Not saying it's easy, but it is true. Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to thee by saying, I belong to you. So take my insides and my outsides. Take my possessions and my abilities. Take my actions and take my thoughts. Take my behavior and take my attitude. Take my words. Take who I am. Take what I have. May it honor you, Lord. Flow with ceaseless praise. That my hands would move for the sake of your love. And that my heart would be a place where you are enthroned in praise and in honor. Because I belong to you. I am inscribed with your image. I belong to you, therefore I will render unto God what belongs to God. All that I have. All who I am. For it comes from his hand. It bears his image. We belong to him. All with a price. So then may these lives, we are stewards, caretakers, but not owners. May they be lived in lives worthy of our calling, worthy of the gospel, worthy of our owner, our creator, our sustainer, our redeemer, and our friend. Simple. We belong to God. even when it's not always easy. So what do you do with that which you have been given? With that which is not your own, not ultimately. You didn't come from yourself. You do not go to yourself when your mortal life is complete. So if someone has entrusted you with something valuable and something precious, how do you care for it? What do you do with it? And if you have to give it back when they return, and you've nicked it up and banged it around, I still remember being 8 years old and having a friend go on vacation and being left his hamster, and the hamster up and died. Yes. I swear it wasn't my fault. But then you're like, they come back. You can't help but feel bad. I mean, and hamsters, they do that. But still, you've been entrusted with something. And don't you just feel awful about it? Oh, really? Borrow someone's car and bring it back with a scratch? Here, hold on to my keys and you lose them? Watch my kid for a second. What? Silly ways to make a point that when we are entrusted with things that we know are important, valuable, and precious, we know, oh man, this is not mine. I better take care of it. As a matter of fact, I better take care of it better than the stuff that belongs to me, right? Because it's not mine, and I don't want to give it back in worse condition than I brought it. We are not our own if we've been just bought with a price, but originally from the manufacturer, not our own. And to return to him one day, how ought we care for this life? And I don't just mean like exercising and eating your vegetables. I mean the sort of life and manner in which you live. We're saying what we're doing, how we're treating one another, how we're using our resources and our money, our behavior, our character, our actions, our attitudes, inside and out. Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee. I don't belong to myself. I belong to You. Inscribed with Your image and likeness, I desire to render unto You what belongs to You. So let me count the stuff that doesn't belong to You, 0. Therefore, how can I offer it to You? Moments and days flowing with ceaseless praise. And therefrom, our second reading. Paul is opening up this letter to the Thessalonian Christians. Did you recall where he said, you became a model to all of the believers in Macedonia and Achaia. People have heard about what you've been doing, about how you've been living your life. People have seen how you act and what you say. And it's making a difference. You are bearing witness to Christ and His mercy and His goodness by your simple manner of life, as well as any preaching and teaching that you might do. They work, produced by faith. They labor, prompted by love. They show endurance, inspired by hope in Jesus Christ. They are imitating Paul and Silas and Timothy, who first came to preach and showed them this manner of life, and now that same manner of life is spreading all through the area, and it is making a difference. They do not belong to themselves, they belong to He whose image is inscribed upon them, and by living thusly, to His honor, flowing with ceaseless praise, just like the song, God is being praised and glorified, and people take notice. Word is being spread. May it never be said of me or any of us. May it never be said of any Christian, frankly, that the way that we act turned people away from Christ. I kind of liked what he said, but then I saw who he really was. I heard the preaching and it sounded okay, but then he showed me who he really is by his actions. Now I know. What was the charge made to the Pharisees and the Herodians? How did Jesus counter when they tried to trick him? But you hypocrites. And isn't that kind of this fundamental accusation that Christians were? I don't want to be a hypocrite. Isn't that the fundamental accusation that's bandied out and all those Christians are a bunch of hypocrites? Well, why? If the words are not matching the actions, if the faith is not matching the behavior, if the commitments aren't matching the character, word spreads. For the Thessalonians, the word was spreading and people were coming to Christ because of it. May it never be said of any of us. If the word is spread, don't bother. Don't worry. They talk a good game, but when you watch them, you see the truth. We are not our own. Treat your life then as the witness that it ought to be, because it is not yours. It is a witness to Christ our Lord. So what are you going to do with that witness? Don't let it die like the hamster for the kid on vacation. Don't let it be like the car that gets scratched, the keys get lost, or the kid that you let wander away. But with care and devotion, treating it even better than you would treat your own possession. Treat this witness with preciousness and care. It doesn't belong to us. Our lives don't belong to us. We are inscribed with the image of God. Therefore, with what we do and in who we are, may we render unto God what is God. Take my voice and let me sing, always only for my King. Take my intellect and use every power as thou shalt choose. Take my will and make it thine, it shall be no longer mine. Take myself, and I will be ever, only, all for thee.